Good evening. Welcome to the January 15th, 2026 Active Transportation Commission. The meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you, Chair. Members, please unmute your microphones. Commissioner Harris?
Here.
Commissioner Gibson?
Here.
Commissioner Wadhwani?
Here.
Commissioner Recio Patel?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Commissioner Hopt?
Here.
Commissioner Tao is absent. Commissioner Moore? Here. Commissioner Banks?
Here.
And Chair Hodel.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
I would like to remind members of the public in chambers that if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please turn in a speaker slip when the item begins. You will have 2 minutes to speak once you are called on. After the first speaker, we will no longer accept speaker slips. We will now proceed with today's agenda. Please rise for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley, and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first business today is the Commission staff report. Staff, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I want to start off by recognizing that there was an item, just a quick update on there was a log item that is usually on our agenda due to a small administrative mishap on my end. That item is off this agenda. Just want to say it'll be back on next meeting. It's just a clerical error. I apologize for that. There was a request for an update on our street sweeper program for our protected bike lanes. Checked in on that. Just want to update. We currently have 2 sweepers that are working in the city and generally work to sweep our protected bike lanes throughout the city every 2 weeks. We are in the process of getting a new sweeper, a more narrow one for some of our narrower protected bike lanes. That procurement is still in process, and we'll update you as soon as that comes. But I know it's heavy in leaf season. We are the city of trees, so sometimes we're also the city of leaves. So the sweepers are out there really being busy right now. So. I also am very happy to give this update. We have a staffing update for the Mobility and Sustainability Division. First off, in the sustainability group, I want to recognize our new sustainability analyst, Ariana Hernandez, who's with us today, waving in the back. Very excited. And then on my team, we have a new senior transportation planner, and that is Nicole Zeeling-Porter, who joins us. Very happy about that. And additionally, we are looking to have 2 new associate planners who should be joining us. They've all accepted. I can't announce anything else, but they shall be joining us in February or March at this point. So we're working through that now. Very excited to have a fully staffed team, and we'll be able to bring you a lot more at that point. And that concludes my my staff report. Go ahead.
And before we move forward, my apologies, Chair. Before we move forward with the consent calendar, I just wanted to make an announcement that, as I'm sure you're aware, there are 2 commission meetings happening tonight. There's a parks meeting across the breezeway in Main City Hall Council Chambers. So if anybody in Chambers is in here for parks, that'll be across the way. And additionally, members of the public can turn in speaker slips to Melanie down there at the computer. Thank you.
Did we lose the Rochambeau on space?
Our first business today is oh, no, I did that already. The next is the approval of the consent calendar. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for the consent calendar.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? I guess you have to raise your hand today, huh? Okay. Okay, pay attention. I need a motion and a second for the consent calendar.
I'll move to approve the consent.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Haupt and a second from Commissioner Harris. Will the clerk please call the roll for the vote?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadhwani,
Aye.
Commissioner Recio Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Haupt,
Aye.
Commissioner Tao is absent, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
and Chair Hodel.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
We will now proceed to the discussion calendar. Item number 2 is selection of chair and vice chair for the calendar year 2026. There is no staff presentation for this. Are there any members of the clerk? Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for item 2, selection of chair and vice chair.
Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Commissioner Haupt.
I'd like to nominate Isaac Gonzalez for chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez, Vice Chair Gonzalez.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Gibson for vice chair.
Okay. I'm looking for other hands going up and don't see them. So may I have a motion to have Vice Chair Gonzalez as the next chair and Commissioner Gibson as the next vice chair?
I will make the motion for
What I just
Chair
said?
Gonzalez to be chair and Commissioner Gibson to be vice chair in this year.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Harris and a second by Commissioner Haupt. Clerk, would you please call the roll for the vote?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wadhwani, Commissioner Recio Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Haupt,
Aye.
Commissioner Tao is absent, Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
and Chair Hodel.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I will finish out today's meeting and find a new chair next time. Okay? Thank you. The next item is number 3, Connecting Howe Avenue Safety and Mobility Plan. And there is a staff presentation. Charisse Padilla.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Charisse Padilla, Project Manager of the Connecting Howe Avenue Safety and Mobility Plan. Thank you for having me today. Today I will give a brief project overview of the plan, review plan features, and then discuss next steps. I guess I have to be really close to this, right? That's what I was told. Okay, so as you are aware, the Howe Avenue Project Corridor is one of the city's Vision Zero top 10 corridors with the highest number of fatal and severe injury crashes. It is a critical corridor that serves and connects residents and communities, Sac State, students, and businesses. The project was funded through a Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant with the goal of identifying a data-driven and community-supported plan for a future Howe Avenue to improve mobility and safety along the corridor. So Connecting Howe Avenue plan included 3 distinct phases of community engagement. In phase 1, we hosted and attended both virtual and in-person events, providing opportunities for the community to give their input to develop a community vision. I won't list them all, but some of these included online interactive web map and survey, city-hosted community workshops, and pop-ins at community meetings, as well as a presentation here at ATC. For Phase 2, based on input from the community and existing conditions data, the project team developed a set of recommendations, proposed recommendations for the community to weigh in on, and we shared those with the community. Again, this included multiple online and in-person engagement opportunities. That included city-hosted community workshops, pop-ins at community meetings and events such as National Night Out and food truck events, as well as a presentation at ATC. And for Phase 3, after evaluating community input on the proposed recommendations, the project team developed the public draft plan for community review and comment. Some engagement activities from this phase included online document review, pop-ins at community association meetings and other locations and events, such as trunk or treat events and tabling at the Power Inn Light Rail Station, as well as a Sac State presentation, in addition to a presentation here at ATC. So now we'll go over some of the planned features. All of these should be familiar to you. The Connecting Howe Avenue final draft plan includes adding a shared use path along the east side of Howe Avenue, adding a landscape buffer with shade trees and lighting, lowering posted speed limits, filling sidewalk gaps, adding a shared use path through University Park and an enhanced crossing on University Avenue, and adding signalized crosswalks at US 50 ramp crossings. Additionally, the final draft plan includes removing a travel lane in each direction between American River Drive and the American River Bridge, adding a cantilever structure on the east side of the American River Bridge and US 50 overpass, adding speed diverters north of the University Avenue American River overpass in both directions, and adding optical speed bars on the corridor where appropriate. It will also include further analysis on additional lane reductions and tightening of the intersection at Collegetown Drive and the freeway off-ramp, as well as study of the intersection of Collegetown Drive and La Riviera Drive. So we are now in the final stretch. The next step is to take the final draft plan to council to be considered for adoption next month. Therefore, staff requests that this commission pass a motion to recommend that City Council adopt the Connecting Howe Avenue Safety and Mobility Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I do have one speaker on this item, Michael Bevins.
Hi, Commissioners. Welcome to 2026. How do I say this? I find this plan to be fair, adequate, but also very much lacking in the purpose of having this plan in the first place is Vision Zero, reducing fatalities, car crashes. We are ignoring, which I understand why sometimes, we are ignoring the monster in the room. It's the Strode that is Howe Avenue, where it meets Fair Oaks, north of American River, or actually it's the whole thing. There is no lane reductions, which I understand why sometimes, but I have a plan myself. I'm just a humble daydreaming truck driver. I am not a professional anything really, but I think I have a better idea, and I would love to talk to somebody on the commission or the city staff about an alternative. We need to break up this road. We need to have the road lanes, start over. There are 3 lanes on this current avenue. If we split them, not reduce them, not take them away, but split them, divide them, 2 lanes of through traffic, and the right lane is a slow street traffic for those going down the road, want to turn and turn into Safeway. They're in that right lane. They are not obstructing the road traffic going through. And The traffic lights should accompany that, keep the green light for the road traffic often longer, more often. And a street lane can go in there, and that street lane is so slow because it stops at every intersection and it's slow. That's where the bikes could go. Instead of buying a right-of-way that is expensive for a whole, just one side of the road, you can have bikes on the right lane of each road. It's slow, it's safe, it's uncommon, but it could be common driving with traffic that is slow, just like you would in a parking lot. You would ride slow. Every address in the city should be able to get to by a bicycle safely, and it should be marked well where it should be. So this plan is fair. Don't get me wrong, it's just not good enough.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Your time is complete. Chair, I have no more speaker slips on this item.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Okay. Oh, Commissioner Moore.
I have my orientation script. I just want to commend the city. I know that that was definitely a fight to get the lane reduction. And so for planning staff to achieve that through all of the perceived and maybe conveyed engineering challenges with the volume and the speeds and everything, I know that that was probably a big and many and arduous meeting. So I commend you on that. I appreciate it. I look forward to the day we get that cantilever component to the bridge, but yeah, applaud you for the lane reduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Quick question for staff. Thank you. Great presentation, as always. Any estimates as to engineering and construction cost or timeline of implementation?
Not timeline of implementation. That's going to depend on steps further than the planning process. The planning costs and engineering, I'm sorry, I did not come with those in mind, and I've got both of them, and I don't want to misspeak and say one for the other. But I believe it was 40 million.
Well, we will go through the couch cushions.
I'm sorry?
We'll go through the couch cushions and find you the 40 million. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Banks.
Yep, thanks, Carice, for all the work, and always great to see you at Campus Commons for engagement. I think I heard you right in saying that the treatments for the on-ramps and off-ramps would be different at a different time, like you didn't do work on those. Is that right? Did I get that right?
We are proposing crossings at the off-ramps and on-ramps.
Will they be controlled crossings?
Yes.
Okay, great, because those are really dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's all I needed.
Okay. This is an action item with a request for the commission to pass a motion to recommend City Council approve the Connecting Howe Avenue Safety and Mobility Plan. So I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the plan.
Second?
I have a motion from Vice Chair Gonzalez and a second from Commissioner Gibson to approve the plan. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Harris?
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson? Aye. Commissioner Wadhwani?
Aye.
Commissioner Recio Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Haupt?
Aye.
Commissioner Tao is absent. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
And Chair Hodel?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously of those present.
Thank you. The next item is number 4, the Norwood Mobility Plan, and there is a staff presentation. Thank you. Sharice Padilla.
Sharice Padilla again, also the project manager of this project, the Norwood Mobility Project, now Plan. Today, again, we will give a brief, or I will give a brief overview of the project, now Plan, review the plan features, and discuss next steps. Project overview. The Norwood Mobility Project, or Plan, corridor is a high priority in the Transportation Priorities Plan. It is also part of the city's Vision Zero High Injury Network. It's a critical corridor that serves and connects communities, residents, students, and businesses on and around Norwood Avenue. Again, this project was also funded through a Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant with the goal of identifying a data-driven, community-supported plan for a future Norwood Avenue to improve safety and mobility on the corridor. The Norwood project also included 3 distinct phases of community engagement. In phase 1, we hosted and attended both virtual and in-person events, providing opportunities for the community to give their input on what they would like to see on the corridor. This included, but was not limited to, online interactive web map and survey, city-hosted community workshops, pop-ins at community meetings and events such as Mutual Assistance Network or MAN's Harvest Festival, as well as a presentation at ATC. For phase 2, based on the community feedback, the project team developed and shared a set of proposed recommendations for the community to provide feedback. Again, this included multiple online and in-person engagement opportunities, including city-hosted workshops, pop-ins at community meetings and events, such as Hagenwood and Robla Park Community Association meetings and the District 1 Community Conversations event, as well as a presentation at ATC. You guys saw a lot of us during this process. For phase 3, after evaluating community input on the proposed recommendations, the project team developed and shared the public draft plan for the community to review and comment. Some engagement activities from this phase included online document review, pop-ins at community locations and events, such as the District 2 Town Hall and Resource Fair, the Man Harvest Festival, again, and the Haipu Trunk or Treat event, as well as a presentation at ATC. So the plan features, to review, you are all familiar with this, but the Norwood Mobility Final Draft Plan includes removing a travel lane in each direction north of Jesse Avenue and south of Harris Avenue, adding sidewalks north of Berthoud Street, adding sidewalk lighting and landscape buffers, as well as shade trees on the east side of the street. It also includes removing on-street parking south of Bell Avenue and adding a separated bikeway in each direction. Additionally, the draft plan, or final draft plan, includes adding roundabouts for traffic calming at Bell Avenue and Silver Eagle Road, with future evaluation of an additional roundabout at Moray Avenue, as well as adding signalized crosswalks at high-demand locations and the I-80 ramp crossings. The draft plan will also include adding a cantilever structure to both sides of the I-80 overpass, as well as future evaluation of median trees where they are feasible. Also in the final stretch, the next step is to take the final draft plan to council to be considered for adoption next month in February. So again, we ask this commission to pass a motion to recommend the City Council approve and adopt the Norwood Mobility Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I do have one speaker slip on this item, Michael Bevins.
Briefly, Michael Bevins, basically the same thing as I said last time. This is not as intense corridor as Howe Avenue. This is more of a residential, lower intensity strode. I don't have any problem with this. I know the idea is road diet. My suggestion as earlier was a different kind of road diet. In my plan, my idea, you knock down the lanes, but the median is now just tree covered. That's where the vegetation goes. And then like previous one, you had 2 lanes, 1 lane for the park, cars turning and sharing that lane with the bike, so the bike lane is wider. Because in the future, bike lanes they're narrow now, and if you have a tricycle, then you're already out of space. Or if you want to pass somebody on a bicycle lane, it's harder. If you had the whole lane where the cars are now and you share it with the cars, you have more room. Other than that, it's a good plan. It's just, I give it a B. I think another plan, another way of using the efficiency of the road, all the road space, could be better. You're giving up throughput for traffic, which is fine, it's safe, but you are giving that up. And my plan, the idea would be you would keep that one lane for through traffic, have a local lane for local traffic, and it would be better to share it. And you're building a roundabout, which is great. I love roundabouts, but there's no need to buy extra land to fit a roundabout. In my plan, you just use the same existing structure, still have a roundabout, but it's just, you don't need to have that extra space. And the design on this roundabout shows an extra lane for a right turn lane. That just defeats the purpose of a roundabout. If you have cars coming from all 4 directions, there's no need for an extra lane for a right turn lane. So just little things like that. I hope you're going to approve this, which is, I agree. I just hope there's time between that's implemented that we can maybe make some tweaks. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Commissioner Banks?
Thank you. Awesome. It's an educational question. You're adding sidewalks, which is right for the city to do. I'm all in on that. But once sidewalks have been created, who does the maintenance on them? The city doesn't. So the owners of the property adjacent to the sidewalk, and is that something the city has to get approval for or an agreement with the owner of the land while this goes through? I'm just curious. I don't know. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioner Banks. It's good to see everybody. I'm very tall, so I'm going to lift this up. Great. Correct. Sidewalks are the maintenance is the responsibility of the adjacent property owner. When the city does install sidewalks, we always confer with the property owner. Whenever we do work in the right-of-way, we notify and let folks know what we're doing. New sidewalks don't require a lot of maintenance. I think the bigger maintenance burden is in the older parts of the city with sidewalks that are 40, 50, or 60, or 70, 80 years old.
So people then just say, yes, great, we want sidewalks, and then decades maybe later when the sidewalk might be in trouble, they're like, oh, it's on us to take care of. Like, that's not an upfront negotiated conversation.
Correct, it's not a negotiated conversation.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thanks.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Thank you again for the presentation. I just want to commend staff on the use of the roundabouts to do traffic calming on this north-south arterial. In many ways, too, with the tree planting, the lane narrowing, and the beautification, this reminds me a lot of the Franklin Boulevard project. Really looking at a street that really is, unsightly, dangerous, and could use a lot of love. Glad to see, hopefully, some reduction of the heat island effect with the tree placements where they are. My only bit of feedback is as much as I commend staff for adding the tree in the center of the roundabout, I often find that with our traffic circle situations in Midtown and downtown where we have them, this vegetation often gets to be, it's nice, but it becomes a visual barrier. So just planting species that will either remain of appropriate height or the appropriate narrowness so it doesn't create that situation, I think would be a good thought. But otherwise, wonderful project, and hopefully we can get, looks like it's about 140 million some odd. 92, okay, and then I just want to ask a quick question. Toward the end of the report, it says the city will look for ways to implement the proposed changes in phases or look for quick build opportunities to help address key safety needs as quickly as possible. I believe the city is pursuing quick build concurrently right now. Can you speak a little bit about that, just quickly about what some of those things look like? Jennifer, hello.
Vice Chair Gonzalez, it's very good to see you. So we have 2 quick build efforts at the city. One is the quick build I think that many of you think of, where it is a literally month or so implementation of a new crosswalk, a delineated curb extension with posts, those sort of things, or new striping at a spot. There tend to be spot improvements. So that's the one quick build that makes the news and everyone hears about. We also have implemented a quicker build of our 10 to 20 year corridor projects. So for example, in 2021, I believe, City Council approved the Marysville Boulevard Vision Zero Safety Corridor project and plan. We're moving forward with the bigger picture, many millions of dollars project through design, but what we're looking at is a quick build of a portion of that corridor to move that lane reduction and those safety improvements forward quicker. Our goal was a year. We're going through lessons learned. A year is not always feasible, particularly in places in the city where their older right-of-way challenges are different, where right-of-way extends into the roadway. So we're working through that. But we have those two things that are happening. So Norwood is a possibility for this type of improvement. However, we are focusing those on the Vision Zero top 10, and Norwood is not one of those top 10.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, I have a question. So I downloaded all 230 pages of the, and began wading through it. So I read in segment 1, which is to the north, that there's no sidewalk along one section, but in other areas it's continuous with no deterioration. In segment 3, it's continuous, but there are gaps, uneven, utility poles are in the, are all those sidewalks being improved to be like ADA compliant?
They would be evaluated. So as part of the lane reduction, there would be additional right-of-way to widen sidewalks and make those improvements. And then one of the items is north of Berthoud Street, adding the sidewalks where there are none.
Okay. And in one section, which it's not all here, so it was on page 51, I think it was in the north section, you have the bike lane next to the traffic, so it's sidewalk. Of course, I'm doing this from my point of view, not yours. So sidewalk, parking, bike lane, traffic. That's from your point of view. So can you switch the parking and the bike lane so the bike lane is next to the?
There's no parking.
Okay.
There's no parking.
Okay.
It's sidewalk, bike lane, curb, road, one lane in each direction with a center median.
Okay. I'd ask you
Heat's on the other
after the meeting on your own, just look at page 51.
Okay.
Slide 51.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. This is, I need a motion to send this on.
I bring the motion forward to approve this item and move it forward to recommendation for council. Woohoo.
Seconded.
I have a motion by Commissioner Harris and a second by Commissioner Moore. Would the clerk please call the roll for the vote?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Harris?
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wadhwani?
Aye.
Commissioner Recio Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopt?
Aye.
Commissioner Tao is absent. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
And Chair Hodel.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously of those present.
The next item is number 5, SAC-ADAPT Transportation Infrastructure Adaptation Plan. Is there a staff presentation?
Excellent. So I've heard, I feel like. I've heard you have to get very close to the mic. Okay, learning. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Sarah Kolarik, and I'm a sustainability specialist with the city's Office of Climate Action and Sustainability in the Mobility and Sustainability Division. Tonight's presentation is an update on the SAC-ADAPT plan, Sacramento's Transportation Infrastructure Adaptation Plan. I presented to ATC fairly recently about this plan, so tonight will be a brief recap of the plan, but primarily an update on the recommended adaptation strategies, as well as Phase 3 public engagement approach, which is for the review of the public draft plan. So the brief recap, SAC-ADAPT is a planning effort to analyze the impacts of extreme weather on the transportation system and identify what we can do to make our system more resilient. It is funded by a Caltrans adaptation planning grant, and the city is the lead for the project, but we are working very closely in partnership with SAC-RT. The SAC Adapt plan is considering all aspects of the transportation system, so that includes roadways, bicycle and pedestrian facilities, public transit infrastructure, which includes the bus infrastructure and light rail infrastructure. And we are also looking at some of the direct assets that may support the transportation infrastructure, although it might not traditionally be considered as such. So thinking about pump stations that help keep our roadways clear in the case of a rainstorm, or the fueling stations that help power the RT's public transit vehicles. For extreme weather risks in Sacramento, we are focusing on extreme heat and extreme storms, which include both flooding and impacts from high winds. We are also considering fire and smoke. And none of these impacts are new to Sacramento, but of course, because of climate change, the impacts are becoming more frequent and more intense. So it's something that we want to be analyzing and preparing for. And I'll just make a note that really extreme heat is one of those big increasing risks that we're going to see pretty substantial changes in how it impacts Sacramento. So with this effort, we are analyzing these extreme weather risks and impacts to identify actionable adaptation strategies, to then importantly set ourselves up to pursue future funding, which of course will be a large amount of grant funding, hopefully. We kicked off the project work in August 2024, and since then have done quite a lot in a short amount of time. We've conducted a literature review and existing conditions report where we're getting a sense of all the foundational work. For example, from the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan and the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, as a couple of examples. We conducted phase 1 engagement in early 2025, where we're focused on understanding how extreme weather impacts how community members are getting around. And then from there, we completed a vulnerability assessment to understand how different types of extreme weather impact different specific assets within our transportation system. From there, we are working on a risk assessment to understand what happens if a transportation asset would then fail because of certain extreme weather risks. And then that fed us into our phase 2 engagement, which was really trying to understand some of the priorities from community members to help inform the risk assessment as well as adaptation strategies. So during phase 2, we came to ATC, presented, got some feedback, which is incorporated. I'll reference some of that later. And we used the public and internal agency feedback to then finalize the adaptation strategies and prepare the public draft plan that is now available for review as of today. We are kicking off the phase 3 engagement for this project. And then our next steps will be, once we wrap up phase 3 engagement, we will be incorporating the comments received during this engagement period to then finalize the plan and bring that forward to City Council in April in order to stay on top of our grant deadlines of end of April of this year. So this is now the interesting part. So this is the overview of all the adaptation strategies and implementing actions. So in total, the city has 10 overarching strategies that are included in this plan, with 59 implementing actions, which I'm not going to read out tonight for everyone's sake, but I'll highlight some of the key actions that are most related to ATC. Overall, these are broken out into 4 hazard types, which include extreme heat, flooding, all hazard, and disaster preparedness. As much as possible, we were aligning these strategies with other previously adopted strategies to be aligning across all of the planning efforts that are happening. So that includes pulling from the general plan, the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, the Urban Forest Plan, the Streets for People Active Transportation Plan. So you'll see some references in the coming slides to those plans. In some cases, we are identifying recommended changes to previously adopted strategies, also identifying some new strategies. You'll note that SACRT also, of course, as part of this plan, has 12 overarching strategies with 23 implementing actions, but I'm not presenting on those tonight since that's out of our specific purview, but please take a look online at the plan and provide your feedback. So just a note, I'll go through all of the overarching implementing actions, which are bolded on each slide with some selected examples of implementing actions. So first we have creating built environments that reduce the exposure to extreme heat and mitigate the urban heat island effect with implementing actions of implement the urban forest plan, heat reduction in the public realm, expand drinking water access, create a wayfinding program, and improve noticing for bicycle and pedestrian facility closures. We have create built environments that are resilient to impacts of extreme heat, which are focused on building resilience, for example, for our pavement infrastructure or traffic control devices. We have for flooding, increasing stormwater drainage capacity with many implementing actions that are pulled from the local hazard mitigation plan and climate action adaptation plan with adjustments made to many of them. We also have integrate stormwater mitigation strategies into city infrastructure with some additional language to expand out to look at street facilities and not just parks. We have invest in infrastructure maintenance, which came up quite a bit, both in Active Transportation Commissioner comments as well as in public comment. I think we all know that many of our investments are only as good as the maintenance we're able to provide to keep them functioning as intended, and that is particularly true with many of these adaptation strategies. So here I'll note bicycle facility maintenance, of course, as an important piece of maintaining safety and ease of use, in particular during and after storm events. For all hazard, we have 4 overall strategies: increasing community resilience to prepare for climate impacts, which includes many outreach and education actions, again, pulling from the local hazard mitigation plan and CAP with proposed changes. Reducing the risk of power outages, which includes tree trimming and debris removal as a key action. Strengthening city government capacity for climate resilience, which includes some administrative internal actions. Also recommended review of the climate scoring part of the Transportation Priorities Plan the next time that it is considered for an update to think about how climate resilience can be better incorporated into that climate score. And we have supporting resilience of transit facilities, which include many actions that are from the CAP and cover what we can do as a city within our purview to support increased transit mode share. And then finally, this is the last slide on the strategies. We have for disaster preparedness, strengthening city government disaster preparedness and capacity for emergency response, which highlights incorporating resilience strategies into end-of-life traffic equipment replacement, so thinking about traffic signals there, and emergency and disaster preparedness exercises and trainings for staff. And then finally, consider evacuation needs and planning, which includes aligning roadway safety improvements with emergency response functions. So as I mentioned before, we are entering our 3rd phase of engagement with this presentation really kicking off the public review of our draft plan, which is available online through the Conveo platform. So you can go to the sacramento.conveo.com. It's on that main page, or get a direct link from the project website, which is cityofsacramento.gov/SacAdapt. We will be accepting public comments until February 12th, and then from there, working to integrate those comments into the final plan. For our phase 3 engagement efforts, we are attending a number of in-person events. We are doing a couple of these presentations, next one to the Disabilities Advisory Commission. And then in particular, we're leveraging a lot of virtual options for engagement given the slower winter season. So we have our project website, City Express page, engaging folks through social media, a lot of targeted emails to community partners and organizations. And then we'll have 2 online workshops listed on the slides, so February 3rd and February 5th, with more details on the project website and brief summary in the staff report. And then, as a reminder, this item recommendation is review and comment, so very curious to hear Commissioner feedback on the Phase 3 engagement approach, any ideas, and then also feedback on the recommended summarized adaptation strategies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for this item.
Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Commissioner Gibson.
First of all, thank you for presenting and sharing all the work you all do. Something caught my eye on just on the last slide or two, the align roadway safety improvements with emergency response functions. I think sometimes when it comes to throughput, I'm not saying anyone in Sacramento, but I've heard stories in other communities where fire response specifically wants as fast throughput as possible and is oftentimes opposed to roadway improvements. I know in Los Angeles this was a particularly big controversy. I wouldn't want to see us to go backwards just so that in a emergency situation that we might save a few seconds. I wonder if you can elaborate any more on this line and how we would potentially align with our everyday emergency versus the catastrophe emergency.
Yeah. I'll highlight that this isn't really adding, there's a lot of this work that's ongoing. I mean, as part of the corridor planning efforts, there is engagement already with emergency services. So this is really highlighting the fact that it is important to have that engagement and that we are working toward the overall same safety goals. We're coming at it with very different perspectives and timescales, and that there's actually a lot of tools that we can have that can work for both applications. And there's a bit of a joint learning process that I think that can happen, and that we wanted to use this as an opportunity as that kind of stepping stone to have some of those ongoing conversations. And then there's also a couple other strategies in there that just relate to some of the development standards in floodplains and gets into the weeds with new development that we're not doing much of.
Yeah, again, thank you for clarifying on the statuses. And again, in the specific text right here, it does say support immediate traffic calming and safety improvements. But just as those conversations evolve, I would hate to see roadway design improvements and different standards not reach to the need I think us in the commission feel.
Commissioner Wadhwani.
Thanks for the presentation. Just wanted to ask a question about one of the bullets, the support resilience of transit facilities. What is the city's role there? And could you explain a little bit more what that is?
Yeah. So the CAP, our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, includes, of course, our big picture goal of increasing mode share for active modes of transportation, but also public modes of transportation. So this was really highlighting some of those CAP adopted actions for the city to support where appropriate in partnerships, actually like SAC Adapt, where we are working with RT. They are using this as a step of thinking about where there's, for example, more need for bus shelters bus shelters at bus stops that are in particular high heat areas. There's a few other recommendations in there that I don't remember off the top of my head. I could pull that language for you if you're interested. But you're correct. We have a limited role, but we have an opportunity for partnership and to support, especially because our goals are intersected and we're working toward the same long-term vision.
Thank you.
You're all to my right. Commissioner Recio Patel.
Thank you, Chair. That was a great presentation and very informative. I have a question about the recommendations under heat. Under create built environments that reduce exposure to extreme heat and mitigate the urban heat island effect. There's a recommendation to create a wayfinding program from the Streets for People plan. That's what S4P stands for? Okay. Could you just explain a little bit how that contributes to, a wayfinding program has many purposes, but how does that directly contribute to mitigating? Yeah.
The idea there is making sure that people understand where they need to go so they can be spending as little time out in the extreme heat as possible, but can be moving efficiently to their destination. So not getting, lost or ending up going in a circuitous route if it's a really hot day and really just want to get from A to B quickly and know where you're going and where there's other like city facilities that can also serve as cooling centers.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harris.
Did you include evacuation routes during a flood in your consideration? And I'm asking that question because I'm right outside of the flood zone, and so we're actually one of the evacuation routes, which, as you all know, where I live, we have no sidewalks, we have no bike lanes, we have no very little divided roads and very little infrastructure in my portion of North Sacramento. How would your plan, did you address that? Did you consider that? Does that impact any of the city's other plans to prioritize development and infrastructure in the areas, the 20% of the city that have no sidewalks, that are mostly outside of the central city, which is most prone to flooding, and would be then transitioning into the area least able to handle it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Something that I learned from working through this planning process is that many roads are considered evacuation routes depending on where a potential incident could happen. And so that was the big challenge on having any very discrete analysis on evacuation routes. So it's something that we thought a lot about as far as trainings and education and making sure that there's awareness. In the risk assessment, there is some analysis of roadways that connect to critical facilities and have high traffic volumes, low redundancy, and would be more essential potentially in an evacuation context. So there is some thought there, but ultimately there's, I think, some more actions that are trying to help connect all the dots when we are planning to make sure that, many of these elements are already being considered, but really making sure that everybody is thinking about all of those pieces when it comes to planning documents.
And my recommendation would be, if it's not already in there, I haven't read it in depth, would be to add a measure, to add a feature to our network plans that would factor this in and change the priority. If the plan is that people in a disaster are going to be able to make it out to the city in, frankly, inferior roads in the best of times, much less a flooded time, it would be good that that was added as a criteria for prioritizing infrastructure development where we have very little. Thank you.
Commissioner Banks.
Thanks, Sarah. Great presentation. I'm curious about, we have so many different plans that are out there in the world, and I'm always interested in the intersection of those plans. So in your presentation, you talked about how the TPP climate rubric, part of that rubric might be changed vis-a-vis this plan. That's a yes. Well, I have a two-part question. Will that come before us? Will we get a chance to weigh in on that change prior to it being formalized?
Well, Jennifer, if you want to jump in, you can. I'll say that this is not directing a specific change to the TPP, but highlighting that climate resilience is an important consideration for the TPP, the next time the TPP scoring and list is considered. Anything else you want to add on that?
I always bring Jennifer to the dais.
Commissioner Banks just likes me to come up here. So we don't plan on updating the TPP in the near term. However, when we do update the TPP, we will, of course, bring it before the Active Transportation Commission, and we look forward to your input.
Great. Here's my second question. You might want to stick around. It's now about the Vision Zero plan, which is currently also making its rounds and almost finished, coming to the end line. Have you done a cross-reference between those recommendations and the recommendations that are in this plan, and are they in sync with each other, or supporting and complementing each other, to, as an example of Commissioner Harris's point about evacuation plans? That they're on our roads, how safe are our roads, et cetera, et cetera. Curious about that.
This is why we are one division now in the mobility and sustainability. So our climate team works together with our transit, and I'm still holding Vision Zero for our transportation planning team because they're still staffing up. But we are coordinating and cross-referencing our work to make sure that we support and complement each other.
So we'll see some climate stuff in the Vision Zero?
Not necessarily, but we'll make sure that we don't conflict and that we can support each other where we do. But Vision Zero is very much focused on data of crashes, high injury networks, which we can overlay with the work that Sarah's doing, and then actions to address those safety needs. Okay. But we're looking at crashes in terms of safety and not climate risk in terms of safety.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Commissioner Moore.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll admit that I haven't read it yet, so you can throw that back at me in the event of your answer. But I'm curious if there's any overall prioritization of responding to disasters for bike and ped and transit facilities. For example, but not limited to, so in the event of a storm where we have a significant number of trees fall, clearing sidewalks and bikeways before we prioritize roadways, and or not storing any of the debris in bikeways in the event that it does get cleared, which I think does happen quite a bit in that event. So I'm curious if there is any, speaking to that, or general prioritization.
There is general prioritization. When it comes to like that fine-grained detail of establishing priority of who's gonna, of what we respond to in a post-storm event, we're not getting to that level of direction of what staff should be doing in those types of procedures.
Got it. Okay. And then in the correlation, causality of driving and its impacts on climate change, is the city open to looking at any kind of funding mechanism for drivers to support implementation of this plan, either by force or by legal requirement of vote?
Good evening, Commissioner Moore. The city has little regulatory authority to charge drivers for things, right? That is generally a state function and not a city function. And so I don't know if we can, I think there are a couple of things that the city could do with voter approval. And so anything that we could do with voter, we'd have to go to the voters. And so not necessarily tied to climate, but it can be tied to transportation. So if there's the things that the commission seeks to have considered as part of Sarah's plan, happy to hear those comments and see if we can incorporate those in.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Thank you for the presentation. Very good. I just wanted to bring up a couple things. Very apropos, it's coming today. Today is a Spare the Air Day, check before you burn. And also yesterday, there was an article in the Sacramento Bee about the threat to Sacramento's water supply over the next coming decades. And it's funny because they mentioned things that will happen maybe as soon as 2041. And that used to sound like a number that was so far away, but it's not. You know, blink and it'll be here. Also talking about not only the misconception that climate change means, you know, less snow or less rain, but really that it means more extremes, you know, that we'll see greater dry periods and then greater extreme periods of weather. And when we look at the deferred maintenance that our city is currently suffering from on our roadway network, we know that we have these big storms, and what was a small pothole becomes a pretty large-sized pothole, and the small granular pieces of asphalt begin to clog our gutter pans and make it harder for our bicycle riders to come up. So I'm just rambling to say that, you know, apropos, good timing. Hopefully we can get this out sooner rather than later. And just to echo some other comments, you know, with a specialized effort on some of our car-dependent legacy suburban neighborhoods where we really see a really lack of accessibility for those. Now with the new amenities like the Del Rio Trail and the completion of the bridge, which has happened since our last meeting, hopefully we have some more options there for you know, climate disasters and whatnot. And I definitely just want to echo Commissioner Gibson's earlier statement. Not just the crisis of one moment, but the ongoing crisis of today. I really like the way you framed that, Commissioner. You know, when we push back against those with competing priorities and ideas, we are in the crisis of our lifetime, our child's lifetime, and our grandchildren's lifetime. And I'm glad we're meeting the moment with this kind of energy and enthusiasm. Just hoping that your coming community outreach is successful. I did try to load the website, couldn't get the report itself to, well, it's finally come up. It took a while. It's a big report, it seems like. And with that thought in mind, just hoping that there's that this is mobile friendly. I just haven't had a chance to bring it up on mobile. And I know a lot of our underserved communities, their only internet access often is their mobile devices. So I'm hoping that there's some functionality there to allow comments to be given as well for mobile devices. Thank you.
The Conveo platform is mobile friendly. I mean, you'll have to zoom, but we tried to include a lot of visuals.
Okay, I see no more hands going up. So this item is to review and comment, so no vote is required. The next item is public comments, matters not on the agenda. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on public comments, matters not on the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. I do have one speaker slip. Michael Bevins.
Guess what it's about. I spoke to the city council on Tuesday, did that big old thing. I'm just going to readdress some of it here. What we need to do overall, a traffic lobotomy. So when you're out driving, like I said before, if you can imagine you want to get across town, you get in the left lane. That is now the road lane. If you want to get to the shopping mall on the right, you get in the right lane and you're going to turn, or you're going to come out from that shopping mall into the right lane. You only change lanes when you get to the intersection, a controlled signalized intersection. That reduces the confusion, the interference of what the purpose is while you're on that roadway. We need to separate the road function of the road from the street function of the road. And when we do that, we have fertile ground on the roadside to have traffic with like buses, big buses, lots of buses going, carrying a lot of people through. The traffic lights are prioritizing the through traffic. And on the right side, we have fertile ground, street lane, slow, common traffic for bicycles and cars to work and drive together. Neighborhood vehicles, golf carts, rickshaws. Eventually, the bike lane is going to get more and more people on it, especially with electric bikes, so there's room on a whole lane instead of just a narrow bike lane. On the other sections. On the left lane, to reduce some of that interference also, we cannot have a left turn from the left lane until you get to a major intersection. All turns could be on the right lane. Again, slow and not a through traffic. And the key of this is the road lane and the street lane are independent of each other. If you're in the road lane going through, the street lane is stopped at the stoplight. So you can, if you're in the lane going straight, you want to get in the street lane, at the light, you have it open, wide open to you. And the 5 seconds. I got a lot more to say. I would love to be able to share it with you, but until then, traffic lobotomy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, I have no more speaker slips.
Thank you. The last item is commissioner comments, ideas, and questions. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak? Commissioner Banks.
Yeah, I just have a question about the Active Transportation Commission report. Arlette, you had said, Commissioner Hodel, Chair Hodel, that the report is going to council on what date? And I'm curious about when Howe and Norwood are also going. Are they all going on the same date, or do we have multiple dates going on in February?
So Howe and Norwood are both going on in February. We are advancing the annual report to the P&PE Commission committee on January 27th at 11 o'clock. And then it'll move on to council. We'll get on the council agenda for that in advance of the budget items moving forward. So.
Yes, I look forward to having some commissioners there with me. So, and I'm also looking forward to not ever doing it again. Commissioner Gibson.
First of all, just thank you all for selecting myself to be vice chair and current vice chair, soon to be chair, Commissioner Gonzalez. So just thank you all for your trust. Sadly, since our last meeting, there have been at least 2 people who have been walking in our city limits. that were struck and killed. On December 15th, a 52-year-old man on the intersection of Elise Avenue and Stockton Boulevard on the intersection of the city limits was struck and killed. And then a 50-year-old man at around 7:45 p.m. on January 6th on 49th and Fruit Ridge Road was also struck. Although 2 fatalities in 2 months is actually relatively low for city average. When you look at what's happened across the county, it's actually been a very high month in Natomas. Technically, outside of city limits, there's a little hole. There was a fatality, a drunk driver collision leading to 3 fatalities on Del Paso and Northgate Boulevard. Although this one is not that long, sadly, if you want to take a list, there's been at least 6 fatalities since the start of the calendar year on all roadways. Thank you.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair. And to echo Commissioner Gibson's remarks, thank you, Commissioners, for your vote of confidence to be on the Commission, Chair. I'm looking forward to serving and filling the big shoes to fill of Chair Hodel and working with you all over the next year. I want to commend our technical staff tonight for getting our foamy guys here, something I asked for at our last meeting, and they actually came up and said, we got it for you. So it's nice to hear that they're watching and they're listening and responding in kind. Appreciate that very much. In a more somber update, just want to share, Slow Down Sacramento. We held our 2nd annual Sacramento Remembers Vigil at Fremont Park earlier this month. We read the names of 32 people who were killed on Sacramento roadways in the calendar year 2025 that we know of, through reports through the Sacramento Coroner's Office and other means. It was another somber night, joined by many victims, families who spoke on behalf of their loved ones who could not. I look forward, hopefully, working with the city, not only to Slow Down Sacramento and the ETC and all of our other great advocacy groups such as SABA and Civic Thread and whatnot, to hopefully continue this conversation about how we eliminate traffic deaths within our lifetime. Of course, we have the Vision Zero meeting. Vision Zero is happening right now, and there's going to be some community meetings in the next couple of weeks that you can attend, both virtually and in person. Go to our Vision Zero page for more information about that. But just to remind us all of the gravity and the importance and the urgency of all the work that we do. The amenities that we work on are not only going to beautify and make the quality of life better for all Sacramentans, but hopefully save the lives of very many more. Thank you.
Commissioner Banks.
Thank you. Future Commissioner Gonzalez, I 100% agree with everything you just said. Here's another question for you, Mr. Doherty. Can you give us an update or any news on staffing for the Quick Build team?
I can give a minor update. I know they are in the process of filling those roles and those positions right now. For the Transportation Division, it's not in our division, but they are in the process of staffing the managers for those positions, and I believe that they are moving on then staffing the other engineers for those positions now.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
I'm sorry, I meant to also one more courtesy notice to my fellow commissioners. Remember, our March meeting is on the 12th, not the 19th. As a reminder, it is the 2nd Thursday of the month because of a holiday conflict.
And I would caution whoever schedules these meetings to watch it carefully, because the change in the Active Transportation Commission meeting now conflicts with Sacramento County Bicycle Advisory Committee, which is on the 2nd Thursday. So I'm going to have to choose one or the other, and that just shouldn't happen. So, thank you. Anything else, commissioners? Thank you. Commissioner Recio Patel.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question for city staff. I just wanted to follow up on my questions last meeting on projects in the pipeline for 24th Street in South Sacramento.
I'm happy to review our current plans. We just adopted our Streets for People's plan in December 2nd City Council meeting, as I understand it. That does have a list of, we are prioritizing those projects as we speak. So that will include all of our active transportation projects for that for all corridors across the city. And I believe Jennifer has something to add to that.
Yeah, hi. Do I need to push a button? No, you can hear me, right? So we actually have a planned project for 24th Street south of Sutterville. Is that where you're asking about? We're on 24th.
Yeah, south of Sutterville bypass.
Yeah, we have it from Sutterville south to Fruit Ridge. It is not a priority in the Transportation Priorities Plan, so therefore we will not be moving forward with it on the near term. The plan is for a lane reduction. It's currently a 4-lane roadway, 2 lanes in either direction and no center turn lane. And we have a concept approved, which includes a lane reduction to a single lane in either direction, center lane turn pockets where needed, and improved bikeway facilities. However, because it is not a priority in the Transportation Priorities Plan, we're not moving forward with it at this time. Nearby, in parallel, is our Freeport Boulevard corridor plan that is south of Sutterville as well. That is a priority project. We have applied. We did the planning effort. I think we approved it in 2022. We've been unable to secure funding for that one. So while not the same, it is nearby, and we are trying to pursue funding for that one.
Thank you for that update. I just want to make a comment. A lot of these, the projects that you had mentioned on 24th are, I guess, north of Fruit Ridge. Between Fruit Ridge and Florin, there's a large residential area where there's also a SAC RT light rail station. There's high speeds along 24th Street. It's, the speed limit is 35, but we often see cars going 50 miles an hour, which is very, very difficult. There is a bike lane, but it's narrow, and often people are really struggling to, and risking their lives to commute down that road. So yeah, I just wanted to flag that, and maybe we can do something about that to address that, or look into something. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last chance. Okay, this concludes today's agenda. Thank you everyone for your participation. The meeting is adjourned. The end.